Good evening, everyone. I'm Mayor Cornell Harvey, and we're about to start our City Council meeting for September the 2nd. So I'd like to call to order the City Council meeting dated September 2nd, 2020. We will have our invocation led by, hopefully, led by Commissioner Harris, and then I will do the Pledge of Allegiance. So Commissioner Harris, do you do our invocation for us, please?
Yes, please bow your heads. Most heavenly, most gracious Father, Spirit of the one true and living God, the one who brings unity when there seems to be chaos. We tell you thank you for all things, God. We ask now, God, that you would bless each and every person that's on this meeting. We bless those that will be watching us by Facebook Live or that will be joining in via Zoom, God. We pray now, God, for each and every member of this commission. We pray now, God, for each and every member of the administration that is also attending. Father God, we pray for our community, God. We ask now, God, that you would just endow us with the power from on high, with your strength, with your loving grace and mercy, Father God. We ask now that you would bring unity, God, where there seems to be division, God. We ask now that we need your help as we move forward to make decisions, God, that we will know and the people will know that all decisions are being made for the greater good, God. We tell you thank you now for the minds that will come on one accord, God. As you lead us through this meeting and you lead us through our decisions, we give you the honor, the praise, and the glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Okay, I will recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you all, and hopefully we had other commissioners be able to get on board, get on this Zoom meeting with us. Are there any additions or deletions to our agenda that we need to go before I get started?
Yes, Mayor, I would like to amend the agenda to remove item number 2 under presentations, Susan Bates to address the commission regarding outdoor entertainment downtown.
Okay, I got a motion to move item number 2. Do I have a second? All right.
Second.
I got a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed have the same right. Okay, that motion carries. So therefore, we remove item number 2 as we move through our agenda. Are there any other additions or deletions to add to our agenda?
Yes, Mayor.
Yes.
The URA has a presentation for Mary Ross Park that they would like to add to the agenda.
Okay, is Mr. Verheim available to give that presentation?
I'm not sure. Well, Matthew is on the, I'm not sure if Mr.
Okay,
Verheim is.
Matthew.
Yes, he'll be promoted once he's added. I added a slip in your books for the agenda item to be added, if someone could read it.
Okay, I'll read it. I make a motion that we consider for approval the contract with Osprey Management LLC for the construction of the restroom equipment building at the splash pad at Mary Rose Waterfront Park.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion. We got a second to add that item for coming from the URA. Are there any further discussion?
My only question was, when did this come up?
I think it went to the finance committee and then they had a meeting and then they were going to bring it to the full commission.
Okay.
Yes, and that's what was said at the last meeting. They weren't prepared to bring it to us at the last meeting, but they did bring it before the finance committee.
Okay, so there'll be an overview again. Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed have the same right. That motion carries. Thank you. So we will add that item to make that item number 2. Since we dropped that item number 2 before, we will put that in as item number 2. And if for administrative purposes, it would have to be 2A, then it would be 2A, just in case it has to go that way. All right. Is that being all? Then we'll proceed with our meeting. Item number 1 on the presentations. Ryan Moore, President and CEO of Golden Isle Development Authority, to give an update regarding the authority's progress and upcoming initiatives. Mr. Moore, are you on board?
Evening, Mayor. Thank you for having me. I'm going to
Yes.
attempt to share my screen here if I might.
Thank you for checking in. I'm worried that my talking is interfering with what's doing. All right, thank you.
Ryan, can you do that if you're not the host? You know how?
I wasn't sure. I'm attempting to, but I can't. Let me try one more time. I was told I'd be able to.
Kyle, if Kyle's our IT, if he needs to interface to some degree to help you. There you go.
Yeah, we are.
I think we're tracking. Does everybody see that?
Yes.
My apologies. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for allowing me to present this evening. The Development Authority wrapped up its fiscal year as of June 30. So we wanted to make sure we had an opportunity to give the City Commission an update. But we've had a lot of good things going on over the past year, and wanted to take this opportunity to give an update and talk a little bit about what we'll be doing in the year to come. So just quickly, obviously this was a very interesting year for a lot of reasons, different maybe than any year we've seen in the past, given the pandemic and the tragedy that we've had in our community. But I personally have been very proud of our community for coming together and all moving together in a way towards progress. It's been good to see that we have come together as a community. And all in all, I think that we're in a place now where we can really move forward and see some good things happening. So we're excited about the future. Just quickly, and I'm not going to read this, but obviously the mission of the authority boils down to 2 things really, and that's to increase investment in our community and to assist companies that are creating jobs, whether they're existing industry or new business. And we have the same shared vision that the City Commission does, and that's important as people are looking at our community from outside. Economic development doesn't happen with 1 or 2 entities. It certainly takes everyone in the community, and it's good to be able to show a united front and a shared vision amongst our partners. So proud to participate in that vision, and thankful that the City Commission shares in that vision as well. We as staff sat down a few months back and we realized that the staff of the authority is a very passionate group of people. We all love this community. It's not just a job to us. This is our home, and we want to see progress within our community. And we hold a set of values within the authority, and we felt like we needed to articulate that to the public. So we really sat down and tried to put on paper what our values are and what we hold dear. And we're certainly a small team. We have 3 full-time staff here at the authority. So we have to be dynamic and we have to be generalist. We have to know a little about a lot of different things. So respect for each other and each other's time is very important to us. We're also very much aware that we need to be held accountable for our works and not pass the buck. We're bold and we try to act decisively, be innovative, move quickly. And if we have to, we move on, but we never want to be sitting still. We want to be moving forward. And then lastly, we listen. This may be the most important. We seek opportunities from within our community, from outside of our community, but we certainly work every day to foster open-mindedness, compassion, and inclusion, and take that very seriously. Just speaking more to that passion, some of the things that we're proud of from this past year, despite losing a quarter and a half, almost half a year to the pandemic, where everybody was taking a step back and trying to figure out where and how to invest their money, we still generated 18 new projects, industrial projects, large scale projects. Of course, you know, not all of these will come to fruition, but the more we fill our pipeline, the more opportunities we have to locate people in our community. So 18 new projects were generated over the last fiscal year, which is about 25% more than the previous fiscal year. So even despite the pandemic, we were able to source more leads and fill our pipeline. We participated or hosted 37 different attraction events. And just an example, as you see the top picture there, was a project manager update that we gave to all of the project managers for the Georgia Department of Economic Development and all of our utility partners in Atlanta. That's an annual thing. We take a roadshow to Atlanta and make sure that the folks that are assisting companies with their site selection process, make sure that they're aware of the things that are happening in our community. And we themed that as a 1920s era speakeasy event. And the theme was that the Golden Isles is the best kept secret around. And we really and truly believe that. We feel we've got something special here, and are happy that we get to sell that on a daily basis. Existing industry is very important to us. In fact, at the state level, if you look at the jobs that we created last year, 80% of new jobs in the state were existing industry. So that's something that we stay very close to and continue to touch base and assist our companies as they plan to grow and make sure that we're removing any obstacles that they may have. So we were able to visit 38 of our industrial partners during the course of the year. And then, as you know, we went through a rebranding process. We have a great new brand that's more reflective of the work that we're doing internally. We're very proud of our brand, and we've managed to grow our social media engagement by about 38%. So good growth there, and we expect that to continue into the future. Over the last 5 years, we've seen 4 announcements that total $11 million of direct investment into the community and the creation of 1,000 jobs. And you'll notice some of the names listed there. We've invested almost $200,000 into local small businesses through our Share the Future initiative. Supporting large business obviously is something that we do on a daily basis, and that's the majority of our efforts. However, we are very ingrained in the community and help try to assist both medium and small businesses as well. It's something we hold dear. We act as the recommending body to the Glenn County Revolving Loan Fund. And during that time, we've managed to loan $227,000 out of that loan fund to various businesses in the community. Just on a high level, the economy in total is actually doing really well and trending upward. Obviously, our numbers lag a little bit, so it'll be interesting to see what happens once the dust settles on the pandemic and we get to some type of new normal. But you'll see the total wages for the community have continued to grow over the last 5 years. Median household income has continued to grow. At the county level, occupation permits, business licenses are growing and slow and steady growth. We have a bit of a dip in 2018, but that seems to be coming back around. And the GDP for the community, and the graph that you see is year-over-year growth. So on an annual basis, we're seeing year-over-year growth of 3 to 4% from our gross domestic product standpoint. So slow and steady growth, which is not a bad thing, and the community continues to head in the correct direction. As you remember, part of our mission is capital investment, and obviously we spend a lot of time talking about the industrial sector. And there's a reason for that. If you see the list of the top 10 real and personal taxpayers in the community, and this is countywide, but you'll see some residents of the city of Brunswick on there as well. 7 of the top 10 taxpayers are industrial in nature. So it's a very important sector of our economy. And it's a very dense investment. If you look at the total acreage consumed by industry in the community, it's only about 2.4% of our acreage that is industrially zoned or active as industrial. But that represents almost 12% of the total digest value in the county. So quite a dense investment in machinery and equipment at these manufacturing plants. We've got about 1,800 people employed in manufacturing, and the average wage is almost $64,000 in those plants today. So these are really good careers. This is not the the image that a lot of people have in their minds of working in industry in the past. Very high tech, very skilled workforce, and well-paying careers. That's $64,000 a year is 41% higher than the average in the community. So a great opportunity for specifically our young people that are coming through the K through 12 system to get some type of technical skill and find a great career in manufacturing or the industrial sector. Just a few highlights, and I won't go through all of these, but just to hit on a few. We own property along I-95 at the intersection of Highway 99. About 70 of those acres are under the control of the Development Authority, but in cooperation with our development partner there, we were able to certify 700 acres as GRAD certified, which is the Georgia Ready for Accelerated Development standard. And that's just a certification that it signifies to the outside world that a piece of property can be developed and can be developed in a quick manner. So a good leg up on the competition and an indication to people that are looking for an industrial site that this site can be developed quickly. We participated financially and just by way of information to the housing study that was done for downtown. We were very proud of that. Very excited about the outcome of that study and the recommendations that were made. Starting to see some of that housing come into downtown, and very happy that has continued. So good to be a part of that process. Our Share the Future initiative benefited 9 firms. We invested almost $50,000 last year into small and medium-sized firms, and the majority of those were in the city of Brunswick. More than half of those dollars went into businesses in the city just over the past year and a little bit into this fiscal year. But we've invested in Cut Quick, Lang Building Supply, Village Oven received a grant, Fiddler's Market received a grant, Fiddler's Farmers Market. So making a lot of investment in the city of Brunswick, and happy that those firms have chosen Brunswick as their destination and their place for growth. Par Marine, which many of you are familiar with, they make large components for navies around the world, shipbuilding operation. We did announce their expansion this past year. They planned a $20 million expansion and about a 40 job increase. We're very proud of that announcement. Unfortunately, they were supposed to have gone into construction in the March-April timeline in the middle of a pandemic, and they since paused that decision to move forward. So we expect that project to come back around. Still very, very excited about their growth, a great local company, and glad we were able to participate in that expansion. I mentioned how important it is for a community to have to come together and have a united front. And I think a good example of that was our COVID-19 pandemic response. In conjunction with the city's Economic Development Department, the Downtown Development Authority, and the Chamber of Commerce, we all came together and realized that, especially early on in the pandemic, there was a lot of information floating around specifically related to PPP and how that would be administered. Not all of the information was accurate, not all of it was correct, and it was coming at you from a lot of different directions. So we all banded together, created a common response, pushed out a common theme and a common message amongst all of our social media and websites, and it went so far as we created a website specific for this COVID response, and we're figuring out what we're going to do, what the next evolution of that website will be. But a very good example of a rapid response to something that needed to be addressed at the time, and a really good example of how we all work really well together. It was great to work with Travis Stiegel, Matthew Hill on that. Really, really glad we were able to do that. We were also able to identify a mask maker, Island Drapes, on the island that was able to make masks in a large quantity very quickly. So the Development Authority subsidized the first order of those masks and actually sold those within 48 hours to area businesses. And what we found is a lot of our industries were searching for masks, couldn't find them, even purchasing them out of Atlanta by way of China. And we said, we can do this locally, and that would be much more beneficial to the people around here, and you'll get a much better product. And that was the case. So our industry bought into that. Masks making was a great success, and Island Drapes is still making those masks today. So really happy that we were able to make that connection and invest in that initial round of mask making. As I mentioned, we also went through a rebranding. We look a lot different maybe than we have in the past. And we're very proud of the brand that we have, and feel that it's really representative of the good work that we're doing at the authority. Just a couple of stories, success stories, and in particular, this one's about our collaborative effort. Matthew Hill with the Downtown Development Authority was working Sundance Tile and Stone, who had made the decision to invest in downtown and grow. They wanted to build out a space on Norwich Street. Luckily, they were successful in doing that. They're open today, a really beautiful store. But through that process, they realized that it was a little more expensive than they had originally thought it might be. We were able to partner with them. Our board approved a $10,000 grant to invest in some equipment for Sundance Tile and Stone. And in conjunction with the efforts of the Downtown Development Authority and the City of Brunswick Economic Development Department, we're all able to work together. And that's a great local business now that has taken residence on Norwich Street and is doing really well. So we were happy to participate in their success. Haven Manufacturing is a manufacturer in the Sterling Industrial Park. They make equipment that produces tube processing systems, very high tech, very high dollar. They sell these machines all over the world, an international clientele. And they came to us and said, look, we make these really high tech machines that are going to manufacturing facilities all over the world. It's state of the art. But when you drive up to our facility, it doesn't reflect the quality of the machines that's coming out of this facility. We want to do some improvement to the exterior. So they were able to partner with us on our Share the Future initiative for placemaking and invest in the exterior of their building. So we matched a grant for them to really do some landscaping and beautification of their facility. So another opportunity to invest in our community. Oops, wrong way. But it was great to work with them, and they've done a great result and a great company. We're really, really proud to have them in our town. And then lastly, SoulWorks, an example of one of our storytelling grants. We have an annual competition and we take applications for different marketing initiatives that small companies might have. SoulWorks came to us and said, look, I've got this really great company, great brand, and we've bootstrapped, we've done everything we could. I really need a promotional video to help share that message. So we were able to partner with SoulWorks, and SoulWorks used a local photographer to create the video, and that actually went phenomenally well, was shared all over social media. We were able to help share that, really drew some attention to SoulWorks and the good work that they're doing. And it was a great success. So we were glad to work with Dominique Mack on that, and happy that it all worked out. Glad that she was able to get a very good quality video produced. One of our values is being accountable to the community. So just a few highlights from this page. 80% of our funding comes from our contract with Glenn County. We self-generate about 20% of our funding. The majority of our funding goes to operational costs, but we also reinvest in the sites that we own, and a large piece of it goes to marketing, to telling our story around the nation. But as I mentioned, we invested almost $50,000 into Share the Future initiative award winners, and we do everything that we can to make sure that the money that we are spending, where we can control it, is spent in the local community. As you'll see, one of our recipients of our Share the Future initiative was Lane Building Supply, another City of Brunswick resident as well. One thing that we as staff really appreciate is the quality of our board. The City Commission recently reappointed 3 members to our board, and we have a board that we feel is second to none. We really have a lot of great experience from folks that have run authorities, been in economic development, been in the manufacturing sector, been in human resources, from the legal world. We really are very proud of our board and humbled by the fact that we have such great people in our community that are giving of their time and make it a pleasure to work for the authority. So thanks for the members that you appoint and your participation in that process. So just lastly, some of the things that we're excited about this year. Last year, we kicked off an initiative called Keep Glenn Running, and that's really a messaging initiative to really help our K through 12 students, in particular our middle and high school students, understand the opportunities that exist in technical fields and in particular the industrial sector. Last year we were successful in getting pamphlets out to about 3,000 10th grade students in the community, explaining the opportunities that exist here in manufacturing and industrial properties or manufacturing jobs. So we're going to continue that and get that message out to not just the students, but their parents and teachers as well. And we do that by way of storytelling, through social media, through print media, and also some experiences that we're pulling together. So we're very excited about that. We also just kicked off a workforce study and strategy document process. The first meeting of that group was today. We put together a committee of about 25 people from the community, people from the nonprofit sector, from the educational sector, from the industrial sector, from hospitality. And we're spending some time over the next 6 months really analyzing our workforce and the assets that we have, any gaps that exist, and paving a way forward and trying to analyze and create a strategy that is comprehensive for our community. So we're very excited that the culmination of this will be a strategy that we can all buy into and have some real actionable items that we can bite off in the new year. We've also kicked off an initiative that's called Bring Your BYO Jobs to the Community, Bring Your Own Job. Just in conversation with people in the community, you come across a lot of people that have moved to this community, to this city, because they love it, because they love the community and the assets that we have. And once they're here, they figure out what their job might be, or maybe they bring their job with them. And especially in this environment where larger companies are allowing companies or employees to work from home, we want to encourage that to the extent that we can. So the message is come to Glenn County, come to the city of Brunswick, because it's an awesome place to be, and bring your job with you. Other people have done it, and we want to start telling that story and encourage that to the extent that we can. So we'll be doing some advertising at the airport and in strategic cities around the nation where we find that people are traveling from. So we're excited about that. And then lastly, we're making a concerted effort to pull together our maker community. We want to really empower people that are making interesting things here. And just in downtown, you get some really interesting people making surfboards, making baseball bats, making things with their hands. And it's really exciting. So we want to make sure that we're making the connections amongst that group and providing any resources that makers might need to succeed, whether that be equipment or space or whatever it is, so that they can grow and push their product out to the nation and the world. So really honing in on what that community consists of and how we might empower it. So we're excited about that as well. But that's the end of the presentation. I will take a second just to thank Ms. McDuffie, Regina, for getting to know you over the past few months. It's really been refreshing, and I've enjoyed getting to know you, and thank you for your support and things that we're doing. And then Travis Stiegel, who I didn't mention, but is on our workforce committee, good work that he is doing. He and Matthew Hill, it's been great to work together, and we really appreciate that collaboration and that community spirit. It's been great. So with that, I'll take any questions, but thank y'all very much.
Any questions for Mr. Moore, please?
I do. I have one. Obviously the city of Brunswick is a team player in all that the Economic Development Authority does. And typically the strength and assets within the core downtown area play a key factor in attracting new industry. So Ryan, I think we would be very interested to know what any specific holdbacks might be, or opportunities for improvement specifically within the borders of the city of Brunswick that we might need to put on a long-term project list to make sure that we are as attractive of a community as we need to be, even though we realize once people come here, and our Southern hospitality and just the openness and friendliness of everybody is the charmer. But I think it would help us to have a better understanding of things that we could do to better support what you do and your collaboration with the city in bringing businesses forward, but also supporting those that are existing businesses.
Sure, and I'll try to keep it succinct, but a couple of very specific things. Continued investment in downtown. We see the redevelopment of different buildings, and the commercial on the bottom and the residential on top is very attractive to today's workforce. And specifically, when we talk about bring your own job to the community, if you're speaking to someone who's early on in their career, has the ability to live wherever and telework, the opportunity to live in a loft apartment and have access to maybe a conference room downstairs, the brewery, the coffee house, I mean, all of that really becomes attractive. So continued investment in downtown, not just in the residential, but in the destinations, so that there is more nightlife, there are things going on, there's some vibrancy is very important to a company, but also to the workforce. And then you take that a step further. Most every company, one of their major concerns is workforce. We're not as large as some other communities, so we have to punch above our weight a little bit in a lot of that conversation. And we do that by talking about the drive time and the access to employees that are 45 minutes, an hour away. But to the extent that we can improve our housing stock and make that attractive to prime workforce age people, that would be a good day's work. So continued investment in that housing stock and variety of options within the residential sector is very important.
Great, thank you. I appreciate it very much. And we appreciate all that you do, because y'all have really, I think between you and Vanessa and your full support staff have, and collaborating with Travis and the city, have really taken us forward in huge ways. So we really appreciate that.
Thank you.
This is Commissioner Harris, and my question is around minority businesses. How many minority businesses have you supported?
Quite a few. We went through, we submitted a revolving loan fund loan for Rosby's Convenience Store, if you're familiar. Regina Mack with Soul Works was a recipient of one of our grants. I'm sure there are others, but we've done quite a bit of activity within the boundary of the city, and we don't have any specific set aside for minority businesses. However, we're very aware of that and certainly take that into consideration when we're making investments.
What are your plans, or what are your recruiting mechanisms that you have in place for recruiting minority business or minority developers, not just to the city, but to Glenn County?
Yeah, so we do a lot of recruiting across the board, from the industrial sector. We don't so much get into recruiting for commercial necessarily, but we're a resource to anybody that comes to town that's looking for help with a particular piece of property. And we lean heavily on the city to help us understand the enterprise zone and the incentives that you have within the boundaries of the city. But we're constantly sourcing additional investment and people that are looking to invest in our community. And one of the biggest ways is investing in existing businesses and the people that are already here and doing things.
That was going to be my question, to kind of elaborate a little bit about, some of the things that you're doing in the inner city, as far as inner city businesses. I know we have a lot of stuff going on downtown in the down area, but other areas of the city of Brunswick. And could you reflect on that just?
Yes. So again, getting back to bring your own job to the community. I think there's a huge opportunity for investment in housing to support that. The city of Brunswick is the workforce housing for this entire community. And to the extent that we can get people to invest and create new opportunities for residential and opportunities for living, not just in downtown, but north of Gloucester and into the farther out into the city, we absolutely support that, and we're promoting that through channels all over. Social media, for sure, going out into the airport, the signage that we'll have there. If we can convert somebody that's visiting the community into a permanent resident, then that's better for everyone.
I hear that you're emphasizing housing as a big piece of it. So when we get to the point that we're coming to EDA as a partner or some support for the land bank, so I just want to put it on record tonight so it'll be known that Ryan Moore has said that he is a willing participant.
Absolutely. If there's a way for us to participate in that, us incentivizing housing would be something totally new, and that's up to my board. However, you can't separate housing and community development from economic development. It has to go hand in hand. So to the extent that we can be helpful in that, we're definitely willing.
Any
Ryan,
further
this is
questions?
Johnny Cason. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Brandon.
Hey, what can you tell me about, or tell us about Par Marine? Are they going to leave the city? Have they left the city?
They have not left the city. They are still leasing the building at Liberty Harbor. They did get an extension on that lease just based on the pandemic and them not being able to move ahead with their expansion plans. The idea was for an expansion at their existing facility in the McBride Industrial Park off of Sidney Lanier Boulevard. They would, at that time, they would move from the building at Liberty Harbor. However, all of that's been postponed until such time that they can feel comfortable making that investment.
So how many people do they employ out there right now? Do you know?
I'm not quite sure how it breaks down between the two plants. They employ over 100 people in total. There's 40 to 50 people working in the facility at Liberty Harbor.
Yeah. How much of the plant do they use?
I toured it. It's been almost a year ago now, but they use most of that building. It's amazing driving by. You wouldn't think that you could use all of that building, but they are.
So Georgia Pacific used to store pulp out there. Are they still doing that? Do you know?
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah, they took up a lot of the space out there. I just haven't been out there in years. But, it's certainly something for us to keep an eye on and to be sure we get somebody back in that building. We've lost most of our manufacturing in the city, and there's no reason why we can't get it back, particularly with all this medical stuff that now we know is offshore that needs to come back to this country. The medical industry would really be something for us to go after. And we've lost so much of it. We used to have people, big manufacturers in Augusta, and all that's gone away. I mean, it's just not here anymore. I didn't realize it until this COVID stuff hit, but there's a big opportunity there. We're essentially as far east as you can go. So you need lightweight stuff, and most medical supplies, bandages, gauze, that sort of thing, great for manufacturing and jobs, and it's pretty lightweight. So that building would be a perfect place out there.
Okay, any further comments, commissioners? Here, Ryan, I want to thank you for coming as well, giving us a presentation. You know, I noticed you said something about y'all rebranding. I was not so much in favor of you guys taking Brunswick out of your name, but yet still, I do realize the Golden Isles does have a significant ring to this community, and that the authority, you guys, what y'all do is great for our community. You look out for us, you look out for bringing industry to our area, which means better jobs, better revenue, more revenue, and for a better quality of life for our citizens. So I really, really appreciate that. Also, very appreciative of the foreign trade zone that you mentioned about what's happening there too. That's really something I think that as Commissioner Cason stated about bringing medical industry back to our country, foreign trade zone is another thing that's really can be used, I think, in a more robust way. But then again, we're not here to try to tell you how to do your job, because you do it very well anyhow.
We do want to help you, Ryan.
Yeah, so we really thank you. Any further questions, comments for Mr. Ryan Moore for bringing this presentation to us?
Thank you.
Now, thank you, Mr. Moore. Really appreciate you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
All
Mayor.
right. Okay. Commissioners, I'm at item number 2 or either 2A, realizing that it should be under items to consider for approval. So that would 2 or either 2A go under that, which is to for Mr. Al Verheim of the URA to bring a proposal to the commission. I don't have it on my paper here what's on the agenda. But
It's
anyhow, Mr. Al
6A.
Verheim, are you available from the URA?
Yes, he's here, Mayor. Kyle, could you unmute him, please?
Can you all hear me?
We can.
Yes.
Loud and clear.
All right. So thank you for taking this presentation in on short notice. I appreciate it. This presentation was spurred from our URA meeting that we had last Thursday, and that necessitated me coming to the commission this week. As Commissioner Harris had said, I had previously been to the Finance Committee and had just updated them on where we were and told them that we were working on finding ways to reduce the price and that I would come back to them. So this, I don't want this to seem for Commissioners Williams and Commissioner Harris that this is not an ambush on you. The reason why I'm here tonight is because of a result of the URA meeting for the last 2 weeks. We've actually had 2 meetings in a row, 2 weeks in a row. So what you have in front of you, what you've seen is the proposal from Gordian and Osprey Management. Osprey is the general contractor that is part of the Georgia State contract, and Gordian is the administrator of Georgia State contract, and the Gordian project manager, Marcel Moreno, is our representative. And I also have in attendance on this Zoom meeting, listening in, I have Mr. Calvin King, who is the president of Osprey Management, the owner and president. And I have his project manager, Greg Sellum, who has been assigned to the Mary Ross Park project. Now in this proposal, you'll see it's 63 pages. That one of the upsides of going through the state contract route is all of the prices for materials and construction have been negotiated by the state of Georgia. So it eliminates the need for us to go out and put out an RFP for competitive bidding, because the state of Georgia has already done the competitive bidding for us to get these prices. So at a point, it's a matter of math based on what the state of Georgia says it costs per linear foot or per cubic yard, whatever the material is. What you have seen in the 63-page document and in the second summary that was sent to you that just breaks it down by each section is that our guaranteed price is a little over $792,000 to put in the accessory building and also to do the site work, the prep work for the installation of the splash pad. And that by itself, I believe, was about $68,000. We are working with Osprey, and that's been the conversation. Osprey is completely dedicated to hiring local subcontractors to do the work. That's their focus, and that's what they're working towards. We obviously, everybody will have concern. We do. We have concern about the price. The good thing about the statewide contract is the fact that we do have a fixed price. So we know that this is the most it will cost us if we go with Osprey and the state contract route. It will cost us $792,000 to finish that splash pad project and accessory building. In that proposal, you'll see that there are roughly 400 line items So it's very detailed. And that's not something we always get when we put out a request for proposals. You don't usually get this type of detail back. And so that's the beauty. What I'm asking for tonight, what I wanted to ask for tonight was your permission to accept this proposal, knowing that this is a worst case amount, but that both the URA and Osprey are working in parallel right now to get this price down. Knowing this is worst case, I would obviously plan on coming back to you to update you on where we are, but we're all working towards lowering the price as much as we can. It helps Osprey to get bids from subs when they know that, yes, this is going to happen. Some of the issues we run into with local subs, or that they've run into both in our experience and others, is getting these smaller subcontractors actually do the written proposals. And with it being a state contract, there's probably more paperwork because it's a government, and there's always going to be more paperwork. So that's part of the issue, is getting these smaller subs that could do the work, but you are so used to giving verbal quotes or a quick written quote. It's going to be this much for this specific project for a private homeowner, to sit down and do that kind of paperwork, because they may not have the personnel. It might be a sole proprietorship or a couple people, maybe one person answering phones and the business owner out there with his workers doing things. But we are working towards that. So knowing what it's going to cost, what I want to do is just open it up for your questions and that you might have for me that I can answer.
Questions, commissioners?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I want to ask, will the company be willing to assist these contractors with the paperwork that you're concerned with?
If I can bring, is it possible to bring someone in? Can I bring the project manager or the owner of Osprey in on this call so they can answer that?
They have been promoted. They have the ability to speak if they unmute themselves.
Okay, so Kelvin or Greg, would you like to address that?
Hello, everyone. My name is Kelvin King. I'm the owner of Osprey Management, and I just wanted to address Commissioner Williams's question. Yeah, we have over 100 subcontractors signed up to work with Osprey on the state contract, and we do walk them through paperwork and somewhat handhold them, especially early on, as they get used to working under these sort of conditions. So yeah, we have a business manager that can walk them and does walk them through the training and the paperwork for this contract.
Okay, that's great. Yeah.
This is Commissioner Harris. I've got a couple of questions. How because I know that this is brought before us to ask us to accept this proposal. So how does, and Brian, if you would lend into this as well, how does or will accepting this proposal affect us legally?
I was going to weigh in. I haven't been able to review it. I actually haven't seen the proposal, so I have some hesitation as to a vote tonight. I think I was under the impression more so it might be a informational presentation as opposed to asking for a vote. I have no problem reviewing it and taking a look at it, but I actually just received a copy of the presentation today, so just moments ago. So I actually haven't been able to review this.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah, I think my concern is what this obligates us to, and that's probably what Commissioner Harris is alluding to as well.
And so this is my next question. How does or how would accepting this proposal lock us in contractually to being liable to pay the now deemed contractual amount if there is a settled upon lesser amount.
If that is for me, I can't. I need to look at. I would need to review the proposal more in depth before I answer that.
Okay. Those are my two questions.
So then the following question would be, what is the time crunch on this? Or is this, how time sensitive is this decision?
Right now, the proposed construction timeline shows about 180-day construction period. That's from the time commission approves it until the time that they hand over the keys to the building. The splash pad's in and kids are using it. So we're looking at, I think on the timeline, it assumes start in mid-April, applying for permits in the city and handing the keys over to us by early to mid-April.
Well, I think the legal process is always vitally important. So I would not feel comfortable moving forward until our, attorney representative Brian Corey has looked through everything, and we have a comfortable feeling for what is being asked of us in moving forward.
And I definitely, with the legal side of it, but the financial piece as well, because having looked at the previous allotted amounts towards this project, then for me, I need to see the gapping, the gap financing on this. How are we going to make this work? How are we going to cover this? What's our plan? Because right now, the proposed dollar amount exceeds what our budgeted amount is. And so I want us to have something in place, a contingency. And I don't want to be, lack of a better word, pigeonholed into this amount, and we've not been able to discuss alternatives because we don't know what the drawdown amount may be, not drawdown amount, or what the negotiated amount may be that comes down from where we are now. And so I need to know what's the contingency, what's our other financial plan to even fill in the gap. If it only comes down by $50,000, okay, where's that coming from? How are we going to get there? And those are things that I want to see mapped out for my comfort. I'm just speaking from my chair, but for my comfort, to know that we've at least got something in place to be able to move this forward. I don't want to start something and we can't finish it.
Commissioner, Ms. McDuffie, didn't we, during the finance committee meeting, didn't you suggest or bring up some type of other options financially?
Well, we really did not speak about the actual financing of this project because, again, when they presented at the finance committee, it was basically for presenting the project and information purposes. So there was not a lot of discussion about the financing of the project.
Right. And that's what I'm recalling. That's why I'm asking the questions that I'm asking. Because we had not, we reviewed the information, but we had not discussed it, not enough for myself anyway, to get to the point that if this amount cannot come down within what our budgets, or if it's brought down to an amount that we may be, that seems to be achievable for us, but then what's that gap financing? What's that in between that's going to get us from what we know we have to where we need to get to? And I've not been shown that picture yet. And so that's just where I'm at.
Well, Commissioner Harris and City Manager, basically, I think this has been brought to us by the URA because they cannot guarantee that this project would go down from $700,000 down to, let's say, 500,000 or maybe 600,000. And what I think what Mr. Verheyen is saying is that the worst case scenario, it would be $700,000. That's the worst case scenario. However, the URA and Osprey are working diligently to bring it down, and they have pledged their trust that they will work on to get it down. However, if they do not, it will be $700,000. Realizing that the Finance Committee has not looked at the difference, like you say, the gap between what's been budgeted for Mary Ross Park and what the proposal is of $700,000. So therefore, that is what I imagine everybody is maybe concerned about. Do anybody know exactly what that figure is that we budgeted for Mary Ross Park? What is the gap that we're looking at? Kathy, do you know what the gap is?
Kathy, do you have that information? I thought it was like 6 something.
So we're not that far off.
The SPLOST, the financing for this. Go ahead. Sorry, Kathy.
327,528 is what we have in SPLOST 6, because
That's
we
the
had
number I
paid out
had.
some that. So right now we're showing 327,528 in SPLOST 6.
But that's not.
Say we paid off the money, we paid off the money for what now?
But we also have monies that's been designated to, that we haven't done anything with Palmetto, Orange, and this other park I believe we have there as well. I can't remember.
We
exactly.
have the money. We still have money in those parks too.
Yes, we do. And we also have $257,000 contingencies as well.
Well, Mayor, I mean, if based on where we are right now, I have spoken to Kathy, and I have to, I guess I need direction from the commission to make the best recommendation for the gap funding based on what our finances are. So if you all want us to look at that and come up with what we think is the best recommendation, we can do that.
Okay, well, it appears to me that we're not ready to move forward with this right now anyhow. It seems that we need to maybe have another meeting with a special call meeting with the finance, and also have another special call with the URA so we can figure out our finances as we move forward. Realizing this is something that's a good project, but yet still it may be cost prohibitive. So we may have to do something different. But right now, it seems that we are not prepared for moving forward. Hopefully, we're not trying to delay this project, but we need to get get things lined up correctly. And also, it needs to go by our legal office as well. Thinking maybe those things have already been done, but evidently we need to get those things in order before we can move forward. So, Mr. Verheyen, I just venture to say, I don't speak for the whole commission, but it appears that we need to do a little bit more background information, background for the city commission before we move forward. I'm speaking as the mayor here, but I realize that there's some things that we haven't checked off yet.
Mr. Mayor, I understand that completely. Can I get the commission's approval to at least continue to work with Osprey on this project? Osprey over the next couple of weeks is working with the local contractors to get those bids in, to see where they can get the price. We're looking at, we may have a URA meeting, called meeting the 17th of September, which is going to be after your next meeting. Maybe by then we'll have firmer numbers, and if so, I could bring it to the finance committee at their regularly scheduled meeting.
Sounds good to me. Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
I don't think it it's not an item that would require a vote.
No, sir. I understand that.
Okay.
So I'm just asking for what commission, what do you think about that?
I was going to offer a motion to defer until a date certain, and then have Mr. Verheyen bring this back before the commission and before the finance committee, and then we'll be ready to move it forward at that point.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem, you got any comments?
No, I would agree with that. Obviously it needs to filter through Brian Corey, and we need to know what our financial obligations are moving forward. And then, obviously we have a little sneak preview of what dollar amount we're looking for or looking at. So we do need to, I would think, start being proactive and looking for some type of additional financing to keep the project moving forward.
Thank you. Commissioner Casey, any comment?
Yeah, I would like to say that there is no way in this world that I could approve something for $800,000 to go with a splash pad and not know that I've got a firm price. And I also will add that I've done a lot of purchasing off of the state contract, and very seldom have I ever done anything other than use it as a benchmark. And I've looked through this thing pretty close, paid attention to a good bit of the detail. You've got a lot of stuff in here that's just not going to be needed, lots of it. So somebody needs to take another good look at this thing and probably look at some alternatives, like maybe going back to the architect and see why in the world we wound up with an $800,000 building here. I don't understand. It's a bathroom with some equipment in it. And so anyway, I know it needs to look nice, but the state contract is not something to take as a Bible. I never have, and I've always been able to beat it. So I know we can do better, but we can't approve something that doesn't have firm pricing.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so we're going to just defer this item.
I want to say something, Mayor. I think we're closer than we ever have been as far as knowing specifics regarding this project, specific dollar amounts, a specific amount that the project could potentially cost us, and not to exceed that amount. I think they're still talking. They're still looking some other things over and negotiating on some things. But there are certain things, from my understanding in attending that meeting, that cannot be. They are set items, just like it would be with a even in a federal contract. So there are certain things that can be negotiated and certain things that can't be negotiated. But we are at a more firm price than we have been. We don't have to guess on what it's going to cost. We don't have to guess if it's going to have I forget what they call those things when they have to come back to us and get more money. We don't do that. What is it called?
Change order.
Yeah, change order. So this covers all of that. But I'm looking at what we have in this hand and where we need to get to where we're trying to go. So that's my seat, and I'm gonna sit in it.
No problem.
You know, I'd like to say this too, for the taxpayers of the city of Brunswick. I'm glad that we don't have a splash pad down there right now with this COVID-19. And something that we don't know is how long this is going to carry on. It's not fear of it, but it's sure prudent to be mindful of where we are and when we're really going to be able to use the splash pad, you know, instead of just running out and digging a hole out there and splashing around. We've got a serious pandemic in this country. And just throw in, I'm just thankful we don't have a conference center right now. I'm thankful we don't have a transportation department right now. We're blessed. So I think we need to be mindful of our environment right now with this thing too.
Well, Commissioner Casey, you know, I agree with you, then I disagree with you too. In the fact that, yeah, we might not have what we have now, but we still got to look toward the future. We can't look backwards. We got to look toward the future.
Absolutely. I agree 1000% with that.
Yes, sir. Any further comments so we can move this along? Mr. Verheim said what he's going to do for the URA, and we know what we're going to do. So we'll be pushing hard too as well to get this back so we can get it to Osprey and we can move forward with this project. So, all right, we're going to move
Can I
right
ask
on.
a question before we move on?
Yes,
Was
sir.
the original building, was it $500,000? Is that what it was when Robert Ursery was drawing the thing? Why do I remember $500,000?
I don't know, Commissioner Casey, but there are plans, there are documentation of that. Whatever the price was, I can't remember.
Well, I suggest we look back and we see why we've got an $800,000 building. Again, I've done a lot of buying from state contracts, but used them as benchmarks, and I've looked at every line item in here. And there's stuff in here that you just aren't going to need on this construction, in my opinion. So there's some room there, but there's also, you know, there's just so much money above the $500,000 that really concerns me.
Okay.
And that's why I say we need to go back to our architect and say, hey, take a look at this, see what you think. What are we doing, you know? If we haven't done that, perhaps somebody has suggested doing that.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I kept saying I think we need a construction manager or project manager, someone to look out for our interests, especially in building.
Good director of purchasing will do that for you.
Well, the person, if you don't have a background in those areas, we're going to be still out of luck.
Well, we get somebody with a background.
Okay. All right. Any further questions? Comments? Thank you, Commissioner Casey. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you, Commissioner Harrison. Thank you, Commissioner Williams, and Finance Committee. We'll move forward. Excuse me?
Can you hear me, Mr. Mayor?
I sure can.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
What I was about, this is for one building, but this is also for the installation of the splash pad as well. It's not just the bathrooms, that $792,000. So, you know, I don't know if that's, you know, in addition to the building and the splash install.
It is multi-purpose. I do know that part. However,
I will make a motion.
I didn't quite hear you, Commissioner.
I will make a motion to defer this item until.
Commissioner, you going in and out.
That's right. We're already going to defer. There's no need to vote on this one, Commissioner.
I got one more question for Al.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Al, is there anything other than the building and the installation of the splash pad? What is our total cost going to be for this project?
If you take the 792,000, we still owe on for the installation and the equipment, the pump equipment, I believe, is splash pad, but the installation, and that is the number I'm showing is, where is it? It's over 103,000 for the splash pad. So we're at 895 right now, worst case.
And how much have we got in the pad already?
I believe we already have over, I think we've already paid. Matthew, can you help? I think we've already paid over 100 grand to Great Southern for the equipment.
Yes, I can tell you that.
Wasn't Great Southern supposed to provide installation to as well?
Yes, that's the 103,000 that's remaining.
That we have not paid yet.
Correct.
Well, here's what I think is that I think we need to be thinking about total cost for this thing too, you know, while we're doing it. This thing's deployed itself, and it needs some attention.
Yeah, I think it would be great if we could have a true full picture of you know, where we've come from, where we're heading towards, what we've already paid, what we owe, what we're looking at, before we can really make a good informed decision.
Well, I agree with that's all been said, and I also agree with what Commissioner Harris said about we are a lot closer than we were from before, and that you know, when we get all this stuff together, then we should make a better informed decision. Further comments before I close this out?
Mayor, for the record, I received Commissioner Williams' vote, but no one second the deferral.
But you don't need to defer it.
We don't need
They
to.
said we didn't need to do that.
You don't need to?
No.
Is that correct, Brian? We don't need to defer this item? It was on the agenda.
I don't believe, was it added as an action item? I guess my understanding was that it was a presentation. If it's a presentation, there doesn't need to be any action taken.
No, it was under consideration for
approval. Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Let's make sure we take the correct actions.
Okay, we will defer to date certain, because according to Commissioner Williams,
So if there's a motion and seconded, then there should be a vote to defer.
there's a second to defer to date certain.
Second by Kaysen.
Okay, motion coming from Commissioner Williams, second by Johnny Kaysen. Any further discussion? All in favor of defer, please say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed? No one opposed, therefore that motion carries unanimously. Okay, that would be deferred to a date certain. Mr. Verheyen, you can bring it back when everything is ready, and then we will make an informed decision from there. Meanwhile, we'll be working behind the scenes and doing what the city needs to do and the URA needs to do as well. So we should come together. Hopefully that'll be very soon.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that, and hope to have firmer numbers for you, and we can get the price going our way a little bit as much as we can next time I come see you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Al.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's move right along pretty quickly here. Item number 3, consider approval for August 19, 2020 public hearing and regular scheduled meeting minutes. That was in our package. I hope we had an opportunity to take a time to read over, peruse it. And if you need a couple seconds or so, couple more minutes or whatever, please do so, and then I entertain a motion, please.
I'll make a motion that we approve the public hearing minutes from Wednesday, August 19th, 2020, as well as the regular scheduled meeting minutes dated August 19th, 2020.
Second.
Probably motion second for the August 19, 2020 public hearing and regular scheduled meeting minutes. Further comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed have the same right. No opposed, so that motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much. All right, moving right along. Item number 4, consider approval of financial reports as of July 31, 2020. Before we get into that, is Matthew Hill still on the call? Matthew, you still here?
His face there. Pictures here.
Yes. Yes.
Before I get into the report, finance report, will you tell us what's going on with Mary Ross, going on for the Labor Day celebration or whatever?
Sure. On Sunday at 5 o'clock, we'll have some craft vendors and a few food trucks. At 6 o'clock, Rhythm on the River with Micklin Boney. She's a very young performer, did a great job for us last year. And then right after that, at about 8:08 or 8:10, whenever dark is, we will have the fireworks that were postponed from July 4th.
Okay, would you make sure they get advertised very well, please?
Yes, it's been out on Facebook and in the newspaper insert, and I heard it on the radio, 2 different stations today. So I know they're talking about it too.
Okay.
And everybody should practice appropriate distancing with their groups, and mask wearing is highly encouraged.
Okay. I just want to get that in about Mary Ross Park, Commissioner, since we was already on Mary Ross Park. Don't
Yeah.
let that get escape us.
Good plug.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Ms. Mills, you are here to get our finance report as of July 31st.
Yes, sir. This will be brief because July 1st, or July is the first month of the fiscal year. So that's all we're looking at right now. You'll see revenues were less than expenditures by $324,000 for the month of July. But I will point out there were 3 pay periods that posted in the month of July. So that pretty much accounts for that. There's a cash balance of approximately $4 million at Prime South and Georgia Fund 1, and there is an additional $300,000 at Georgia Fund 1 for the money that we cleared for us on the Perry Park project. Lost for the month of July compared to last July is up 3.86%. Title ad valorem tax is down 56.79%. We have not yet, at this point, we have not yet seen the increase that we're going to get on title ad valorem tax, because that won't be done until we get the first payment in August, which would be for July's title ad valorem tax. So it's not, we are budgeted for the fact that there's this big decrease in title ad valorem tax. So we should be okay, hopefully, this year. Page 2 is SPLOST 6. Once again, it runs through 9/30/20. We have cash total of $6.7 million. You'll see there at the top, collections and the revenue. We had a total budget of $13.8 million, and we had collected through July 13.833. So we're already at the point of meeting what the project budget was for SPLOST 6. There was very little activity during the month of July, but I think we've got some more coming up for this month. So a lot of that money is starting to go out, or continues to go out. Page 3 is SPLOST 5 at the top. We have $1.4 million in cash that is being held for, at this point, still the Oglethorpe Conference Center. Glenn County has $1.3 million for Oglethorpe. Norwich Street Commons, we did not have any activity other than a little bit of interest earned. And we have a cash balance available at Norwich Street Commons of $335,000. The Roosevelt Harris Multipurpose Center should be 6/30/2020, not 2012. I'm sorry about that. That's my date. We had total inflows of $48,608 for the month. Expenditures, $28,893. It's a cash balance of $25,000 roughly. Next page is the sanitation fund. Total revenue for year to date, which is just the month of July at this point, $50,000, and expenditures $142,000, which for the month gives us a loss of $92,000. But that is to be expected. Most all of the billing for sanitation fund has already been collected, and so we're now just getting the monthly commercial billing and a few small residential billings that are done monthly, and still collecting a few off the property taxes. We have a cash balance for sanitation of $574,000. You'll see the bills for the month of July: $121,000 for pickup, $7,900 for illegal refuse, and $7,400 for street sweeping fees. Stormwater utility is like sanitation. Basically, we've collected Most of the fees, anything coming in right now is just delinquent property tax bills that are being paid. And this is the stormwater utility fee portion of that. So we had inflows for the month of $13,000 and outflows of $32,000 for a net of loss of $18,000. But we do have a cash balance as of July 31st of $249,000 in stormwater utility. There were no additional expenses paid out for animal control, traffic control, or facility fees for the recreation department during the month of July. The last page, you have the Roosevelt Lawrence Center, and basically mostly what was paid out was salaries, $4,700 for a total for the year of $4,875. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to try and answer those.
Question for Ms. Mills?
Yeah, I got a question. Is the swimming pool out at Howard Coffin open?
I believe
That I do not.
If the Golden Owl swim team normally one who uses it.
But is it open? I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I know the Golden Owl swim team had suspended their activity, according to the director from recreation from the county. But the pool, I'm not sure if it's open or not.
The pool had been open, but I'm not sure now that school has started.
Might be a good thing to take a look at it and just follow up on any maintenance, that sort of thing, if it's not operational. Be interested to know how long it's been closed.
We'll find that out and get it back to you.
Thank you. Kathy, on the Oglethorpe Conference Center, have we got all the bills paid and have $1.274 million? Is that right?
No, there was a bill that was just been paid for the remaining cost to Gunn, Meyerhoff, and Shea, which was, oh goodness, I think it was $166,000. But we will be getting reimbursed for half of that from Glenn County. So no, there's not quite as much. But then again, that balance where I've got for projects in process for Oglethorpe, I only have the 1.2 million that we originally had budgeted there, but obviously we have more in cash because that money's earned interest over this period of time. So I would assume that we're saying really the 1.4 is for Oglethorpe Conference Center, the total that we've got in cash. But yes, that number will go down a little bit this next month.
Somebody really needs to look at that now that the project is deferred and be sure that we get closure with any of the expenditures on the project.
To my knowledge, that was the only expenditure that's left was Gunn, Meyerhoff, and Shea.
Well, I hope so.
The
That
pool
finishes.
You said something, Kathy?
No.
Okay. The pool at Howard Coffin Park is still open. Labor Day is the last day. It's open on the weekends, but not during the week.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other comments concerning our financial report? Has been delivered by, presented by our finance director.
I make a motion that we approve the finance report as presented.
Second.
The proper motion second for approval of the finance report as presented. Further discussion?
This isn't on this budget, but Kathy, what did we ever get straightened out about that excessive bill we had received over at 8th Street?
I'll have to check. That was the water bill.
One of those.
It was, yeah. Okay, I'll have to go back and check on that because I don't remember at the moment. But I know it was the water bill.
Okay, yeah, we will wait.
Okay, any further comments? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposers have the same right. Commissioner Williams, you're not voting? Was he offline?
Commissioner Williams may be experiencing some bandwidth
Yeah,
issues, bad cell signal.
Okay. Tell him to raise his hand then.
Because he's frozen.
Oh,
There he is.
thank you, sir. All right,
All the world.
all opposed have the same right. It seems like ayes have it, therefore that motion is carried. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ms. Mills.
Thank you.
We're at item number 5 now. Consider approval of request to declare surplus public works vehicles and equipment. Mr. Rick Charnot, Assistant Public Works Director, is presenting, I imagine.
Hey, good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. Before you right now, we've got a action requested on our surplus vehicles. We would like to declare Public Works Department vehicles and equipment to be surplus, and this will be done so that any vehicles and equipment can be disposed of through public auction. A little background, we've in the city of Brunswick periodically surplus vehicles and equipment which is no longer serviceable and may be too costly to repair. And these items are made available for the sale to the public. Recently, we have been successful in using GovDeal's auction website to get the most money for those items. The items that you see listed before you are the ones that are going to be recommended to be put on the surplus list. And we've got quite a few vehicles. Most of them are aged 15 to 20 years, typically are the ages of the different vehicles and equipment. We have 3 options that we have placed before you. And option 1 is to declare all items listed as surplus. Option 2 is to declare specific vehicles or equipment listed as surplus. And the third option would be to do nothing at this time. And staff with Public Works recommends option 1 to declare all these items as surplus items. And I'd be happy to take any questions you may have.
Okay, Commissioner, do you see any of these items that you would like to have removed from this list?
What kind of shape are these trailers in the Coachman and the Forest River Wildwood?
I can't remember exactly which one, Commissioner Case, and one of them is possibly could be rehabbed by the right person. Most trailers of that age are going to have some leaks developed. One of the trailers was damaged in a hurricane about 4 or 5 years ago, and part of the metal has been peeled back on it. And there's another one that does have massive leaks. So there's one that's possibly usable and rehabable to be used for what it is. But the frames on those trailers, the hope is somebody, even if they don't want what's on the frame, that the frame could be reused in some purpose.
Yeah. Were these in the police department, Rick?
I think police did use them. That was the original intent when they were purchased, because these were all FEMA trailers after Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah.
So that's how long we've had them.
I think they came from surplus.
Pardon me?
I think they came from government surplus. I think.
Yes, sir. I believe you're correct. Once they started taking them out of service after Katrina, then they went to auction, and we were able to, in surplus, we were able to get some of those. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Commissioner, Mayor Pro Tem Martin, you have a question?
Yeah, that covered some of my question. Was just a better understanding of what those trailers were, if they were flatbed open or if they were fully enclosed, and what the situation was, because 2006 doesn't seem necessarily all that old if it's an open flatbed trailer for hauling stuff. So that was my main question.
We did have one trailer that's listed on there. You'll see one that says David Brewer, 1996. And that trailer actually was damaged in an accident. So it's not usable to us anymore. Somebody that wants to, straighten that out on a frame machine or something, or replace some parts, maybe could do that. But that's the only small trailer. The other items listed there were all campers.
And then can you refresh our memory on the 600 street sweeper that only has 25,000 miles on it. Was that one of those inherent lemons that we have had continual problems with?
Well, those vehicles, though the mileage may appear to be low, it's the hours. And I'm not sure what the hours on those vehicles are, but neither one run. The engines are blown in both of those vehicles. And we have cannibalized them for parts also over the years, because that was the good thing about buying Timco sweepers, is when we had a part go bad, if we had one that didn't run, we would go out and get that part and use it. So we've done quite a bit of that on there too.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further questions?
I'll make a motion, we declare all of the items listed as surplus.
Second.
Okay. Motion second to declare the item listed presented to us as surplus. Any further comments?
You know, I'd like to thank Regina for getting on that. She hadn't been here that long, and she started looking around for ways to get rid of old stuff and bring in some surplus cash. So thank you very much.
Okay. I have one comment, Mr. Shaw. I imagine it's going to be on Gov Deals. You're going to put this on Gov Deals, or
yes, sir. That is the plan to do that. And we've also discovered that we do need to list these in the local paper, so it won't immediately go out. We'll run an ad and advertise that these items are getting ready to go out to be placed on Gov Deals for auction. But that's the intent, is to put them there.
Okay. And the ones don't sell on Gov Deals. Then what we do?
Well, if we think that there's still a chance they may sell, I will put them back on there and relist. But typically, if they don't sell at that point, they go to the scrap. If we can get any kind of scrap material, metal worth out of them, we try to do that.
Okay. Okay, Commissioner, I got a motion. I got a second. Any further comments? All in favor of approval of putting this, declaring these items for surplus, please say aye.
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 Opposed have the same right. It seems the ayes have it. That motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Charnock. Item number 6, consider approval of contract with Swindell Construction Company for construction of concrete sidewalk segment under the Community Development Block Grant Program. Mr. Iverson, our city engineer and public works director, is presenting.
Good evening. As you know, we've been working with the Community Development Department, working to design some sidewalk segments in low-income areas of the city where there are currently no sidewalks. We have Goodwin Mills and Kaywood. We've contracted with them to design sidewalk segments on 7 streets, which are listed there in your packet: Gordon, O, Union, Q, R, Ellis, and Wolf. Just over 9,000 linear feet of sidewalk as part of that design package. Once the design was complete, we packaged these sidewalks and put them out to bid. We packaged the first 5, Gordon, O, Union, Q, and R, as a base package, and then included Ellis and Wolf as separate construction alternates. So we advertised this bid according to our procurement regulations, as well as CDBG federal requirements. Advertise this. We know that at least 10 contractors had plans. They called and requested plans from our office. They were sent plans and specifications. We held a pre-bid meeting, which 3 contractors attended, and then we received 1 construction bid back from Swindell Construction. We do feel like that, even though it was just 1 bid, that we feel like it is a reasonable bid. It was within 1.5% of the engineer's opinion of probable cost on the project. So, so we do feel like this is a reasonable bid, and it's not out of line. That engineer's bid for the base bid was $320,095. So we feel like the 324 is very much in line. So based on the available funding that the CDBG department tells me that they have right now, we're planning or asking for approval to move forward with the base bid, the construction of the sidewalk segments included in the base bid, and sign an agreement with Swindell Construction to construct those sidewalk segments for $324,170. This project will be paid 100% from CDBG funding. And I'm not sure if Dominique's on the meeting tonight, if she has anything she would like to add as far as funding or CDBG side of things. But
Garo, Dominique had a loss of death in her family, and she
Okay.
is currently out of town, so she's not on the call.
Okay.
On the meeting.
I'll be glad to answer questions and try to answer anything for her too.
So I'm confused. If we're approving the 324,170, but in our packet we're actually looking at adding alternate number 1 Ellis Street in for a full cost of $476,378.
Yeah, I will need to revise that agreement. I actually printed that before. They originally thought we had enough money to include Ellis Street. In a conversation with Dominique just before the meeting late last week, she informed me that we need to go with just the base bid. If we turned out we have more money, we'll add alternate 1 as a contract amendment later. But we figured it was better to go small and then add on later than try to reduce. So
okay, thank you.
That's my fault. I will need to adjust that amendment to reflect just the base bid.
Okay.
So you're looking at $324,170, right?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
I noticed in our plus 6 account for sidewalk, we only have just a little bit of money left over in that. So we have paved sidewalks, I imagine.
We do. We recently completed a project to remove ADA trip hazards where the sidewalk has become unlevel and unsafe for whatever reason, tree roots, settlement, or whatever. We recently completed that project on several streets in town. And then we're also finishing up a little project down on 3rd Avenue to repair some damaged sidewalk down there. So that will spend down most of our SPLOST money. We'll have just a little bit left, but not much.
Okay. Also, with this project, is anybody talking to Georgia Power about the lighting in these neighborhoods? About maybe they could replace some of these lighting with LEDs?
I have not had any conversations with them yet, but we certainly can. We can talk to them about upgrading some lighting in this area.
I think it'd be best, especially we putting this out. We're trying to make the community, those blocks look really, really good, and lighting will really enhance that. The area.
That's a real good idea.
If it's bad, I don't know for sure.
That is a good idea. I'll make a note to speak with them about that and what will be involved there.
I think they'll work with us because Georgia Power is always seeking what's called to help us out, and it may lower our costs anyhow.
Right. I'll talk to them and let you know how that goes.
That'd be great, please. Let the commission know, please. Any questions, commissioners, on this project of $324,000 for sidewalk replacement out of CDBG funds?
I'll make a motion that we approve funding for the base bid of $324,170, fully funded from our CDBG funds for the sidewalks.
Second.
Okay, it's been probably motion to second, that for the approval of the contract with Swindell Construction Company for the base bid of $324,170 for sidewalks, using CDBG, funding. Are there any further comments or questions?
The only, I'm sorry I didn't ask this sooner, was why have we only gotten one bid on this?
I think Keith probably answered that a little bit.
Okay, just a lot
We
going
did.
on.
I'm not sure. I think maybe part of the CDBG requirements, there's a whole lot of paperwork that goes along with a federal project like this. I think that may have scared away a couple of them, but you know, I don't know. We know that at least 10 had the plans in their hands and we're looking at them. So, you know, I don't know why only one was returned.
Well,
does it have Davis Bacon in it?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that question.
I say, does it have Davis Bacon in it?
Yes, sir, it does.
That's why.
Probably so. That could there are a lot of requirements with a federal project like this that wouldn't necessarily be involved with one of our projects, a city project or a SPLOST funded project. So,
excuse me, Julie, for interrupting.
No, that's okay. My comment was going to be if it makes sense to have workshops on specifically for vendors on the CDBG process. I mean, it would behoove us perhaps to engage some of our local contractors and folks that might be shied away from bidding on projects because they just don't want to get mired down in the paperwork and the reporting. So, I mean, we are an entitlement community. We're going to have CDBG grant funding from now until who knows. So, you know, if it makes sense to offer that, then I think we might need to take a look at it.
I think that'd be great. I also think let's partner with Golden Isle Development Authority because they bring a lot of people in here too as well. So maybe it'll be a collaboration with that organization so we can cast our net to get a greater variety of vendors that looking forward to come in and help us build and construct.
Local vendors.
Local business, yeah. Vendors.
Local is a key, and Julie's right. It would be worth every bit of whatever we expend to do it. And that's basically what I've been saying about the competitive nature, that we're going to have to expend some time to create it.
Well, we're going to have to teach them, as you say, or make it fruitful for them to be able to bid on these projects.
Yeah, cement is, we have a lot of folks that work in concrete and block work, and this should be right up a lot of local folks' alley.
Well, you know, I'll venture to say too that even with a lot of our contracts, we have just started to give opportunity to startup companies as well. We have started that trend, and that is a good thing because it's showing that we invest in our local people. So I hope we continue to do that. Sometimes the startup companies they don't have any experience yet because they haven't had anybody to take an opportunity on them. But the city of Brunswick is beginning to do that, which is a good thing, I think.
Well, this was before Garrow's time, but the city of Brunswick absolutely had and purchased a sidewalk curbing machine, and it never got used. It was
I've heard stories of it.
Yeah, several $100,000, and just the minute we got the machine in, the folks who were going to operate it just evaporated, and it never got used. Got sold, and I don't think we got very much for it. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it wasn't much. It's a story.
Well, we won't do that again.
No,
we learn by our mistakes. So
believe me, I didn't think it was right at the time, but it got done.
Yes, sir. Okay. We got a motion and we got a second. Any further comments? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposers have the same right. Hearing no opposers, therefore I take it the ayes have it. So thank you. So that motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Albertson, for your
Yes, sir.
bringing this to us. Go forth and get those sidewalks done. And thank you for talking to Georgia Power as well.
Will do. I'll let you know how that goes. Thanks.
All right, thank you. All right, we're down to item number 7, city attorney items. Consider approval of Glen Brunswick 911 service agreement for external entities.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. What you have before you is a services agreement for external entities under the joint Public Safety Communications Department. So if you guys recall, this is a yearly contractual extension. The city of Brunswick and Glenn County together formed the joint Public Safety Communications Department, which provides sort of a unified police, fire, and emergency services radio coverage. As a part of our agreement and doing the putting together this department, there's a committee that allows and reviews external entities who are requesting to utilize the radio coverage for the police, fire, and EMS. One of those external entities that has been involved in the past several years is the College of Coastal Georgia, the University System of Georgia. If you recall, this was first entered into in June 2018. The CCGA approached the Joint Public Safety Communications Department and asked that they be able to be part of the radio coverage, the radio system. That was approved in July 2018 with a 1-year term. Each of these agreements has a 1-year term. Subsequently, it was again approved in July 2019 for a 1-year term. So now a little bit late, but we are here in front of you, in front of the City Commission, to have this external entities agreement approved. The agreement's technically directly with the county because they govern the algorithm of how people are paid or how people pay into the costs associated with the radios. But the City of Brunswick, sitting as a part of that commission, part of that department, has to also approve the external entities agreement. I believe Naomi may have to correct me, but I think that the county already approved this agreement last month and then sent it over to for the City Commission for approval. It's the same one we've had the past 2 years. Again, the college's use of our radio system is not going to result in any additional equipment costs to the communications department, the city, or the county. The Coastal Georgia will have to pay for their own radios. If they need radio service maintained or activated, they do so at their expense. And in reality, it's just it's a beneficial thing for everyone to be able to obviously share this radio system in the event of an emergency. So this will be another 1-year agreement, the term being until 2021. And I do think that what we did this year, so that it's not coming back every single year and talking to the county attorney's office, is that it's going to have automatic renewals for 5 years up until 2025. So that'll prevent, obviously we're in September now, and the term actually expired in July of this year, but the county has theirs approved, and that's what they're asking us to do tonight. If you see the agreement you have before you, it's already signed by the chairman of the Glenn County Board of Commissioners on August 6, 2020. And it includes the number of radios at the end that the college is allotted, and the Appendix D to our operating agreement, just showing the cost allocation. And if there's any questions or concerns, I'd be happy to answer them.
There's no questions. So, Commissioner, I entertain a motion, please.
I'll make a motion. We approve the services agreement for the 911 system.
Second.
Motion second for the approval of the Glen Brunswick 911 services. Are there any further comments or questions Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed have the same right. Any opposers? Don't hear any opposers, so it appears the ayes have it. Appears that motion carries. Thank you so very much. Okay, we're at the end of our regular printed agenda. Before I, well, is there a need for executive session?
I do not have a need for executive session.
Okay, well, before I ask for a closure of this meeting, is there anything anyone want to bring before this committee, before this commission, before I ask for a close?
Mayor,
Yes.
this is Ms. McDuffie. Just one point of, just to let the commission know that we applied for all of the CARES Act funding that was available to the city, which was $850,000 plus. And I want to thank Kathy. She worked diligently to make sure we met all of the deadlines that we had to meet. And hopefully we will get that money reimbursed. I think she said that we have gotten the first part and we will be getting the rest of it. But we did apply and get everything that we were entitled to for the first round.
Good.
Thank you.
I've got a question about the census. How are we coming with the,
Yes, sir. Good comment, Commissioner Kingston. That's one of the things I want to comment on too as well. I don't know who is our point person. I think Ms. Myers, I believe.
Correct. I've been working with Ms. Dominique Mack Collins on that. Ms. Mack Collins is on the Census Committee for the county. And as our city manager, Ms. McDuffie stated, right now she is currently away from the office, but she is very actively engaged in that. And right now, Glenn County's response rate is at 56.2%. And that is under the current state of Georgia's response rate, which is at 64.7. So it's very important, it's critical that everyone completes the census. It takes about 10 minutes, it's confidential, and it's a safe and secure environment that you can submit that information. You can do it online, on telephone, and still mail it in. I know we've got less than 29 days to work on this event with the census, but we are here and available. So if there's anyone that needs assistance with it, then they can feel free to reach out to our office to get any help. There's guidance, there are various forms of, as far as if there are any language barriers, there are countless resources out there. So we're here and the city staff is engaged. So, you know, like I said, if anyone needs any assistance, they can definitely call or reach out to our office for help.
Thank you. Ms. Myers, also, I would like all city commissioners, we're tasked with, when we are talking to others to ask about the census, to try to promote that as well. Realizing that the census is going to help our community totally.
Yes.
And that we need to continue to promote that. Just like we're promoting people to get out and register so they can vote. These are things that our citizens need to be engaged with very heavily, both the census and also register to vote as well.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Commissioner Case. That was on my agenda to mention. Any other comment? Also, I want to make a comment about the Monuments Committee. I think today we received a report from the moderator. I know we didn't have time to digest it, so therefore I wouldn't call for anything for us to do other than take a look at that report that's been generated to the City Commission. And at our next meeting, we will have a series. We will have, I'm gonna try to open up about 5 o'clock early so we can have public comment period. And if we need to have a public hearing so people can voice their opinion before we decide to make our opinion, our comment as we vote on what we need to do with this monument. during the COVID time, we realized it's kind of hard for us to get together and have town hall meetings and so forth. But we would do what we can to set things up so we can move forward and get all the comments we would like to have from our citizens. There are citizens who are making appointments with me to discuss this. And if anyone would like to be in the room with me as we discuss that, you're more than welcome. Naomi can give you the schedule of the people who come to talk about such. Commissioner Harris and myself attended equity training this couple Saturdays ago, and realizing that equity training is different from equal opportunity training. It's a whole vast difference. And as we move forward, that might be some training that we as a board might need to get involved with if we can. That's all I have. Anybody have anything else before I close the meeting? Ask for closure. If not, I entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, motion second to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, we stand adjourned. Have
a good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Good night.
Julie, do you want something to say? You have something to say?
No, I just forgot to unmute myself, so
Okay.
I'm just voting affirmative to adjourn.
All right. I see you,
Thank
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Take
Good
care.
night.
Good night.